All right, so East versus West 10 is in the books. Here are my thoughts. England Terzi did it. He had some of the most amazing cards in arm wrestling history, culminating in the super heavyweight title, Dennis versus Devon. It was crazy. I'm not going to review everything, but I'm going to give some quick thoughts on some of the earlier matches. Peter Reisick, oh my gosh, that first round, you kind of questionable. Then she comes back, total dominance, amazing. But what was ridiculous, probably the fastest pin in arm wrestling history, Devon Matoshenko versus Camille. Holy crap, round one was insane. Devon's the best initiator of a hook we've probably ever seen in the sport, so it was ridiculous. Frank Lamparelli versus Matt Mask. Okay, so a lot of you guys don't know who Frank is. I've known him for years. We actually pulled in Italy, I think it was 2008. Super strong posting style top row. I thought it was going to give Matt trouble. He was able to crack Mac's hand. What was really impressive for me was round three when Matt said, screw it, and just went for the bent wrist press. He almost turned the cards around, but Frank was able to pull it off. Very impressive match. Then the rest of the card just got crazy. Rackley versus Rustam, back and forth, back and forth. David Samashua, the most dominant East versus West champion ever. Insane. Two things. So I'm going to get to John Brzenk versus Sasha here in a minute. But I gave my predictions. But then I realized that Sasha had to pull Artem Tayanov. And Artem Tayanov is a stud. So Tayanov came out 3-2, became the new middleweight world champion. It was insane. So one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen is Sasha. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I'm going to be honest, guys. The entire card was spectacular. But what blew my mind is Eckley. Sarah Backman is unbelievably strong right now. Cut from 191 to 176, probably the strongest version we've ever seen. I've never seen anyone so dominant to stalemate someone as strong as Sarah. Eckley might be the number one in the world right now. I love Gabby. That's a great rematch, but I really want to see her pull before. I mean, that's seriously, if you look at them standing next to each other, she has the frame and she has the experience. And that hook was insane. So, craziness. Star versus Yorgi. Yorgi's a bad, bad dude. That wrist may be untop rollable. I don't know. Maybe I could get it. But who knows? Apparently he's pulling Devon soon, so that's going to be insane. December 19th, the table. All right. I may have left some out, but let's get to the nuts and bolts of this thing. Todd Hutchins is a stud. My predictions were that he was going to win. Everybody asked me, I said he's going to win. I did say 60-40, but Todd was so explosive. Just like he said, I can't let a top roller be on the offensive side of the table. I got to put him on the defense. He was a master technician yesterday. He did everything right. And there was a moment, I think it was round three, that Kirtigali almost had a shot at, getting the match past center. But Todd's awareness on the table and his ability to counter what Kirtigali was doing was spectacular. 3-0 sweep, unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. All right, so here's the second most impressive performance for me. Sasha beating John 5-0. So he won 3-0. And John's like, well, let's go and pull the other two. And even after round four, he's like, get back up here for round five. It's crazy. That's John. He's amazing. But for Sasha to do what he did, after having a 5-round war with Artem Tayanov left hand, if you watch East versus West, having a left arm match before a right arm match makes it very, very difficult. Or a right arm match before a left. When you compete both arms on the same day, probably just a couple hours apart. I mean, Sasha is the real deal. That kid is strong. So I want to compliment Sasha about how great he is, but I also want to throw this in there. How good must Paul Lynn be? Paul Lynn was this close to 3-0 sweeping Sasha. So I'm a huge Paul Lynn fan. Ingen said Rackley versus Paul Lynn, winner of that pulls Sasha for the world title. I think Paul Lynn might be our champion. Paul Lynn's a bad dude, right? So I'm super excited to see how that plays out. Super impressed with the Rackley, though. It was crazy how the buckle actually did play a role. Whoever didn't have the buckle side won. And it just so happens that Rackley started out with Rustam having the buckle side, and he ended up getting that 3-2. I bet if they'd ran a 6 match, Rustam would have won that. It would have been 3-3. But either way, Rackley looks super good. I think 209 is a great weight for him. He's a huge individual. His frame is large. He's 6'2", 6'3", big fella. Looks good. Pretty much all upper body. And we've seen him go up from 70 kg all the way up to maybe even close to 110 kg back down to this 105 or 95 class. So that's awesome. All right, guys. Devon Larratt versus Denison Plinkoff. Huge Dennis fan. Huge Dennis fan. What Devon did yesterday was clinical. Like, masterclass of forcing and taking what he wanted in the setup. Um, you knew as soon as he drove in round one, first start, Dennis's hand was compromised like this. You saw the confidence in Devon. And what you don't want is to see the confidence in Devon if you're across the other side of the table from him. And you could even see it in the corner of Dennis because they wanted that win so bad. I haven't been following the smack talk, but there had been a significant amount, and I think it really had gotten to the Dennis's camp, and they wanted to prove that they were still the dominant force, right? How would that match been if Dennis would have been in 2018 shape? Different. But the Devon we have today he's something different. I think stem cells have helped. I think all of his treatments have helped. I think his commitment, his not even newfound love and passion for the sport, because I don't think it ever went away. But what we're seeing right now with Devon is truly special, right? What he's doing is awesome. Dennis hung in for all his work. I also thought, I was just listening to Ron Bowen just a few minutes ago. I also thought that a couple of those surges that Devon just kept doing, he might get caught. He might get caught in a spot where he hit past his shoulder a little bit too, his shoulder past his hand just a little bit, his bicep got exposed, and Dennis could capitalize. That wasn't the case. Complete total dominance by Devon Larratt. So, East versus West 10, spectacular event. I am glad I chose not to go. It was so much better for me just to sit here and watch it from home with Rebecca. Afterwards, get out here in the gym and train some. I'm still very focused. I'm hoping I'm ready for East versus West 11. I don't know what level I want to start with. I don't know if I want to jump right into super heavyweights, go after Yorgi or Morzov, or do I want to get in that 115 class and kind of start at the bottom of the top 10 and go up. I don't know. England and I are going to have to discuss it. But I'm excited about coming back. That event was crazy. Devon versus Yorgi. I mean, we're going to find out if Yorgi's wrist is top rollable. Yorgi said he's going to bust Devon back. That's what he said. He yelled out in the crowd, so your wrist will go back. Your wrist will go back. And it might. It might. But just cracking Devon's wrist doesn't mean you're going to beat him. I mean, y'all saw him bent wrist press through me when my Kingsley was on point, right? Devon's strong. What's next? After Devon versus Yorgi, if Devon comes out on top, will we see the rematch with Levon? Will we want to pull a couple other people? Will we pull Vitali? Vitali could be problematic for Devon. Now, Devon is a freak, but that long lever, because Devon always comes in with a longer lever. That would be a moment, an instance where he would not have that technical advantage, that leverage advantage. But where I think Vitali is more one-dimensional, Devon can do it all. Right now, any match that Devon has, with the exception of Levon, I think he comes in as the favorite. And it's impressive to see where he's came from. And he's not super heavy. I think he's in the 260-something range, something like that. They showed him at 120 kg and Dennis at 130. I never got to see their weigh-ins. But yeah, where he's at right now is impressive. What are your guys' thoughts? What was most impressive for you yesterday? Like I said, for me, Eckley was a freak. It was insane. And I hate that for Sarah because I know how much of herself she pours into this sport. But I mean, it's a lesson learned. Get back out there. And sometimes it looks like the gap is astronomical, that you can't close it. But it may only be just a few percentage difference in strength. If Sarah would have been able to open her up just a tad this way, would she have got on top of her? We saw Eckley let Sarah drive in on her hard, get into some good positions, but not let Eckley be exposed any. So if Sarah had just enough power, bottom finger clamp, drag, back pressure to suck that into a little bit deeper hook, a little bit her side of the table, would Eckley look as dominant? I don't know, maybe. But super impressive all the way around. Sasho, amazing. It's always great to see John Brzezinski smiling. I don't know what's next for John. I think he's just going to keep taking matches. He loves the sport. Seeing him make 209 and have that commitment to get down to that weight, to make it a world title opportunity was awesome. I was cheering for him. I wanted him to win because having John Brzezinski have a world title is always great for the sport. But yeah, guys, that's my take. Like I said, England, East versus West, Core Sports, they did it again. It was spectacular. I loved the backdrop. I loved the setup. I loved all the VIP. It was a different atmosphere. It's a different vibe, and this was my favorite one yet as far as how they set things up. That's what I got. Don't subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be sure to tune in December 1st and 2nd for Monster Factory 5.